And it's just like boxing. If you can beat the man to the punch, even if it's by a quarter of an inch, you've got him beat. So if you're beating the other man to the punch, you're going to win.
Beating a defense to the punch can instantly turn the tables for an offense. However, the ability to strike first requires an aggressive attitude.
I think you got to have offensive people that are just as aggressive as the defensive people are. Or the more people you can get that have that type of temperament, the better football team you're going to be from an offensive standpoint.
A rampaging offense can ravage a defense. More than that, it can incite victory.
I can remember in 1983, a key play for us in the St. Louis game was a 10-yard draw play that Billy Jackson ran in for a touchdown. That was as physical a run as we had all year. And the game was very much in doubt. It was very close. And Billy broke about 4 tackles and finally ran over one last tackler at the goal line to get in. That particular run changed the game for us. It really changed, and it was a physical type play.
The ability to run with thunder instead of lightning made number 39 Larry Czonka the game's premier power runner during the early 1970s.
When all else fails and it's obvious that it's going to come down to a direct physical confrontation, I always thought it reflected a higher degree of intelligence to do the inflicting first. I was out into the open field where it was a man in the secondary. Obviously, I'd have an extreme size and weight advantage. Generally, they were looking for a side shot rather than a head-on shot, simply because of the ratio of size, weight, and so on. Very often, if you would cut back directly into them, that element of surprise would completely discombobulate whatever they were trying to put together. And you'd be able to not only avoid the tackle, but lay in some devastating blows. I liked that style. I won't hide that. I preferred to run inside. My playing weight went from 235 in the early 70s to 250 or 255 in the latter part of the 70s because I was running inside. And it was kind of fun to meet head on. When I won, it was very rewarding. I didn't like it when I lost that battle.
Czonka's lost confrontations were often as breathtaking as the many battles that he won. Drafted first by Miami in 1968, it wasn't until 1970 and the arrival of new head coach Don Shula that this down-and-dirty runner began leaving his impact on the NFL. Shula quickly found ways to exploit the Zonk's speed and quickness, both of which were uncommon in a runner so large. And not since the days of Bronco Nagurski had the NFL experienced a runner with such punishing, tackle-breaking power.
Even if you had an open shot to hit him as hard as you could hit him, I always had the sense that I got the worst of the deal.
I can remember some shots that I took on him one-on-one, and, I couldn't bring him down. You need help.
It's like trying to catch a runaway truck on an incline. When you see a bus and you put it on the side of a hill and you didn't put your emergency brake on it and it starts to roll, but you're trying to grab it and there's no way.
Larry Czonka was a defensive back's worst nightmare. but he was a coach's dream.
As a football coach, it's tough to get attached to somebody on a personal basis, but it's tough not to get attached to a guy like Larry Czonka. To know him is to love him. A guy with a great sense of humor, and on game day, one of the toughest football players that I've ever been around.
I think Larry had 12 or 13 broken noses over his career, and from week to week, it was you had to guess which side of his face his nose would be lying on.
I don't know why you bring my nose up. Is there something wrong with my nose?
He liked a little bit of blood dripping off his nose. He liked to look down and see himself filthy dirty because he now knows that he's playing the game. He's into it the way that he likes to be. And the bigger the game, the better this guy played.
In 1971, Larry Czonka personally carried the Dolphins to victory in the longest game in NFL history. 1 year later, Czonka's unrelenting power propelled the Dolphins to a victory over the Redskins in Super Bowl VII and a perfect 17-0 season. In 1973, Czonka capped off the Dolphins' second straight World Championship by earning Most Valuable Player honors for Super Bowl VIII. Throughout his career, Czonk played fullback like a horse plows a field, doggedly, with a high pain threshold, and with great determination.
But I took a lot of pride in being a power running back. I think had I not had that little bit of speed and body control or whatever it was, that I would probably ended up a middle linebacker. I know Dick Butkus, and he kids me about that on occasion. I don't see him too often anymore, but 10 years ago, back before he became a famous movie star, I managed to see him once in a while. It was interesting, back then people called him Czonka. Now people ask me if I'm Butkus. That bothers me.
Larry Czonka played pro football the way it was meant to be played from the beginning.